Hey guys, it's Melissa back with you from Adventures of Frugal Mom. I'm here today with Camy Kennedy, the person who is responsible for me doing these lives. I actually took a free 5-day challenge with her last week called Create, Believe, and Conquer. And I've never put it out there in the space, but I put it out there with her that I wanted to be a speaker. And so this was one of the things that she challenged. So, Camy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on, Melissa. I love this. And I want to recognize you because you took the action to follow through on the challenge that I gave you to show up here live. And it's awesome to be a part of your journey. So a little bit about me. I formerly, for the past 8 years, was a women's coach for health and fitness. And in 2018, I transitioned into life coaching for women because people were coming to me for nutrition and fitness and just doing one thing, and we weren't looking at the rest of the puzzle, right? So that really is what inspired me to step into full-on life coaching to talk about mindset in all of the areas. And in that time, I had my own breakthrough. I went to Bali to really step into my life coaching, did that for 4 days, and it was transformational. And I also left a relationship that I was in for 9 years because it just wasn't in alignment with where I was going. So I had to make a lot of personal changes and do a lot of personal growth on myself. And now I help perfectionists, or what I call recovering perfectionists, have breakthroughs in health, wealth, and love because they're all interrelated.
Okay, most of the people that I've had on recently have been talking about COVID-19 and how they're dealing with it. Share us some tips about how to deal with it.
Yes. And I just sent an email out about this today to my list too. And, as a mindset coach, we really talk about energy and your emotional scale of emotions, vibrational scale of emotions, and what you focus on. And we did a little bit of this in the challenge when you were a part of the challenge too, is limiting your inputs of a lot of negative information. So it's not just saying, like, ignoring that things are going on, right? It's not ignoring the circumstances. It's just limiting how much exposure you're allowing to come into your mind, into your body, into your emotions each and every day. Because the fact of it is there's nothing that we can do to change any circumstance, right? The only thing that we have complete control over is our own mindset, our own thoughts, feelings, and actions that we do during this time. And I also want to recognize too, there may be people that are personally affected with some really big, huge life changes going on. There may be people grieving a loss of a job, a loss of a loved one. So I want to recognize now too, that if you are going through something of that magnitude, to seek help and to not just, typically what we do is we isolate ourselves, right? And since we're in a quarantine, it's clearly we're even more isolated. So if you're watching and you're going through something like that, ensuring that you're reaching out to somebody, and then vice versa, if you're just watching, and because we're all going through something, right? Ensuring that we're staying connected and just reaching out to people like, hey, how are you? Hey, what can I help you with? Just making sure that we're extending that support because we're not getting to interact in the same ways that we used to before all of this happened. So in the short answer, I'll go over a few different anxiety strategies, but really it's allowing and accepting that it is what it is right now. When we try to control, that's when we start to get really, fired up because we're like, I want to control everything. And there's things that they're just outside of our control right now.
Yeah, especially the anxiety. I know a lot of people are really dealing with a lot of anxiety at this time. Loss of, like my daughter specifically, the loss of, she's homebound now from college. And then my youngest daughter is missing out all the stuff on her senior year.
Yeah. And everybody is going through something different than they ever have before, right? We have this vision of like, well, this is just how life's going to go. This is what my 2020 is going to look like. And this was kind of like a stop that got put right in there for all of them. And I think, when we're talking adults versus children, it's going to be a little bit different strategy. But if you do have children, the best thing that you can do is to care for yourself and your own mindset, create a sense of calm and peace within the household so that you can effectively influence the house, right? In that way, by, yes, it sucks, allowing them to express their feelings, allowing them to have their emotions, because the thing is, I'm not ever saying ignore what you're feeling, right? Something got taken away or something changed, and there's disappointment, there's frustration, there's fear, there's anxiety, there's this just sucks. I wish it was different. But then there's also, we have the opportunity now with this time. So what can we do with this time? Whether it's like a family game night, or whether it's we're going to do arts and crafts and paint. And I know there's amazing, great videos out there that can keep us entertained and bring us together as a family unit, because that's really the only people we're interacting with right now, right? Is the people in our household. So how can we use this time as a time to grow our family together, as a time to get closer, do things maybe we hadn't done before, because we have the time and ability and togetherness to do so.
Yeah, Lisa just said, got to put on your own oxygen mask first.
Yes. Amen, Lisa. That's so true. And I'm not a mother yet of a human, but I am a dog mom and a cat mom. And I understand the effects of, like, your dog wakes you up or your kids wake you up in the morning. And that can start its own host of internal dialogue of like, oh, I have to get the kids, I have to do this, and they're going to cry or whatever. So I'm a huge advocate of waking up before the rest of the household and creating your own morning routine that allows you to have that space to be with yourself, to work on your mindset, to do your workout or yoga or meditation or prayer or scripture. That just gives you a really solid foundation before you go into your day with all of those other factors, again, that you can't control.
I know you have a secret behind how you get up, because you weren't originally a morning person. So tell us your secret.
Well, I have a podcast. I would encourage them to go to Camy Kennedy Show on iTunes and look up the podcast, because it's like a 20-minute podcast on it. But the thing that I did was, firstly, I had to get myself out of bed. And I know, you have your phone beside your bed and you just hit snooze over and over and over again, right? That's what we all do. So the first thing I did is I went on Amazon and I got 2 alarm clocks, like battery powered ones, like the one with the alarm. And I put them, the ringer, and I put them across the room from me. And I had to get up physically and turn them off. So I did that for probably about, for me to become a true morning person where I was like really getting it was probably about 6 months to a year. And I think people are like, oh, that's it, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. That's not the way to do it. If you're currently getting up at 9 or 10, you would just want to back it up like 15 to 30 minutes slowly, right? Over the course of maybe 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, to where you're backing it up incrementally, because that's going to be a huge shock to your system to all of a sudden just wake up 3 hours earlier, right? Your body has to physiologically catch up to that schedule. So that's another strategy too, is not trying to just do it all at once. And here's the thing. If you don't have a strong why and you don't have a strong desire to get up earlier, to become a morning person, because it's going to have a direct correlation for a better life for you, then you won't be able to do it. So I would first ask you, how do you see your life changing for the positive if you got up maybe an hour or 2 earlier, if you had a morning routine, and then write out all the positive effects that would come from that? Then you can start to see the ripple effect. And then you could say, okay, maybe I do want to sacrifice my 3 hours of Netflix at night, and maybe I'll back it off to 2 hours so that I can get up an hour earlier, So starting to look at it that way may help to shift that.
Yeah, I will tell you, definitely this morning, we had an appointment at 9:30, and I got up a little bit earlier, and my day ran so much smoother, because normally I'm one that hits the snooze button and keeps hitting the snooze button. But I set 3 alarms now.
Nice.
The 6 o'clock, the 6:30, and then the 7. I've got to be up by 7. So that's how I get up. Yeah.
And I like to use, and I think I shared this with you too, I like to use something inspirational in the morning. So your favorite song, maybe a YouTube video that has somebody speaking or something that's going to put you in the mindset to get out of bed. And for me, I listened to this 3-minute video clip for probably 3 years. And if I'm still struggling, I'll listen to it again. It's by this guy named Jocko, and he is a former Navy SEAL. And he just talks for 3 minutes about discipline. So I would listen to that and I'd be like, yes, okay, I'm disciplined. And that would give me that jolt of motivation as well.
Yeah, Lisa said, yes, it's a process, simple but not easy.
Yes. So it's going back to your why. It's obviously setting up your nighttime routine to support your morning routine. And that's going to have a lot to do with family structure, communicating to your partner, hey, I'm going to be in bed by 10 p.m. or whatever it is. Having that communication and setting up your nighttime routine for success. So for me, I can't do calls really late at night because I get hyper and then I can't sleep. I can't be on the computer with the blue light, right? Because then it like wakes me up. So I have no phone, no computer rule right before bed. And then I turn the lights down, I sip tea. So I have this whole structure because I'm a night person. So I have to like train myself of like, it's time to go to sleep. We're going to sleep now. So it maybe takes me a little longer than most to like go to sleep. But you'll notice when you start waking up earlier, getting a workout in or a walk in, then you're naturally going to want to go to sleep earlier because you're tired because of all the things that you did that day.
No, I would say yesterday I was very tired and I actually went to bed before 11, which is unusual for me. Yeah. Totally unusual.
Yeah. Was that the day you got up earlier?
No, today's the day I got up earlier.
Okay, nice.
But it was because I knew I had to get up earlier.
Yep. Yep. And that's the other thing. Right now, we don't have a structure, really. Most of us, like the structure has changed or there's just you're not going into work. So we are really responsible for creating our own structure. Part of that is having accountability, right? If you don't have accountability to be in the office, like, are you really going to? So setting up that structure within your household for yourself, you may have to be the one to implement that. I've booked calls in the morning. So like maybe you don't have much to do, but maybe you're just like, you know what? I'm going to book Zoom calls with my friends at 9 a.m. every morning. That way I've got to get my butt out of bed and show up presentable enough to talk to my friend at 9 a.m. So that's something that you can do to keep your energy high. Because again, if you don't have anything to look forward to in the day, then it's a lot easier to just continue to sleep because you're like, well, what am I going to do today? Like there's, and then that's what creeps us in to that low energy, to starting to feel like we're more of like, oh, we're feeling down. We're starting to feel depressed. So if we can keep ourselves on a routine, connected, engaged, active, it's going to keep our energy on a higher level, and it's less likely then we're going to get in a slump. Versus if you watch Netflix for 6 hours, you know how you feel. I know how I feel when I watch Netflix for 6 hours, and I'm like, meh,
Yep. And you feel like you don't get anything accomplished because you get sucked into watching Netflix, even though it's your favorite show and you've watched it over and over and over again.
Yes. Yes. And again, so I don't want to, also everybody's lifestyle and time is going to be different in this time, right? So I'm not saying everybody has to wake up and be productive, but creating something that you have to look forward to each day is going to help with your mood. It's going to help with your energy. Doesn't mean you need to wake up early, but what can you do to care for yourself each day, or what can you do that you really enjoy each day? And when I ask that question, I know some people will be like, well, I would like to go to the mall. That would make me happy, right? And and we automatically like focus on what we can't have. But why don't we start focusing on, well, what have I always wanted to do and I didn't have time to do it? Now I can start that garden. I can plant the garden. I can learn another language. I know there's free courses on Yale right now, I think. You can dive into a course on psychology or science or herpetology, right? Something that you can use to enrich your time right now.
Yeah, yesterday I had on Melissa Harold, who was a licensed therapist, and she was talking about how her daughter, who's also a high school senior, is now able to work on art because she never had time to do that before because she had to do all her studies. So now she has that free time to express herself and her creativity.
Yes.
And I will say this has helped me out a lot. I'm going to show my viewers. I don't know if you guys can see it. Here we go. Making a list of what I have to do the next day. That helps me the next day to get motivated for the next day.
Yes.
Just kind of, even if it's a little thing like putting a walk on there, just putting it on there. And then that way when I come out to my office, I look down, oh yeah, this is what I got to do today. So it kind of helps a lot.
And I want to make a point too, because we both did this. I know we commented this before we went live on air. Dressing up, like you put on your yellow blazer and your lipstick. Like I've really been doing that. Like I've been painting my nails. I never used to paint my nails because I just felt annoyed that I had to sit there for like 20 minutes for it to dry. And now I'm sitting down to paint my nails like every 3 or 4 days, right? And I'm doing that as a self-care thing. Getting dressed up, putting on false eyelashes that I got at like Dollar Tree years ago. So again, I know you're a frugal mom too, so I want to make a point. Like, there's things that we can find, and I know that false lashes are not an essential purchase, so I'm not saying to go out for them, but you might be able to order them online, and they'll make you feel a little good.
Yeah, I know. I've been burning Amazon up, getting
Yeah.
things for projects that I want to do around the house. So,
Yeah.
those that follow me on Facebook, I just posted it today. I'm actually putting all my animals out, farm animals, because that's my dream, is to own a farm, and
Yes.
putting all my farm animal pillows out. And I'm like, do you think my husband will get the message?
That's so great. You're just kind of putting the vibe out there. And
Yeah,
you know
putting
what?
it
What
out
we
there.
focus on is what we find, right? That's kind of the point of this. What we focus on during this time, and what intentions you put out there end up kind of attracting things, and things end up lining up, and things are coming to us. So this is an interesting time to potentially refocus on something we never even maybe thought of.
That's true. Now, what are some tips to help, kind of people to kind of center themselves and to like feel the calm instead of being so anxious all the time?
Yeah. So I actually created a list. This is going to go on my blog here later, so you guys are getting like a sneak peek of this. But I have 7 things that are really helpful, and I would just invite you to go on YouTube for these. You can definitely find some things on my YouTube channel and my website as well, but you can Google any of this stuff. So one of the first things that has really helped to ground me over, and again, I didn't go into this too much in the beginning, but I've been an entrepreneur for the past 5 years. I've been coaching women for 8 years, and I've been fired from 3 jobs in the past 5 years. I've had a lot of uncertainty. I've had a lot of, I was signing eviction notices for where I used to live. Like, I've been through a lot of uncertainty in my life. So by practicing meditation, by grounding myself, by building this belief and this trust that ultimately God's got my back, it's been able to really get me through things that were very
Mm-hmm.
challenging and still come out on the other end, right? And I'm not saying not to have emotion, but allow that emotion to pass through, and then recenter again on what it is you can control. And we are in control of our emotions and our thoughts. So what meditation is allowing the thoughts to pass through, noticing them, and then choosing a better thought. So it doesn't mean to be like, oh, everything's great, I'm so
Mm-hmm.
happy, right? We don't want to go from like laying on the couch to everything's horrible to, oh my gosh, I'm so happy, this is great, because that's not the case, right? But it
Yeah.
may just be, okay, I'm on the couch not feeling good. I'm focusing on a lot of things that are negative. However, I'm happy that my kids are here with me, or I'm happy that I have a cat or dog, or whatever those things are. I'm happy that I have an internet connection so we can
Yeah.
still connect to people, right? um, so when I talk about meditation, it's just about allowing those feelings and thoughts to pass through. It's not about silencing your thoughts, it's not about silencing your feelings. A lot of times what we do is we have buffer activities. And a lot of people, especially people who are used to going out and being in large groups, this is not always the case, but I know several clients have admitted, I like to go out and interact with people because I don't like to be alone with my thoughts. And
Mm.
so I know that right now we're alone with our thoughts, right? And this might be one of the scariest things, but I also see this as an opportunity for you to sit with yourself, sit with your thoughts, sit with your feelings and emotions. Because the more we can sit and learn and understand ourselves, the better we're going to show up in the world, right? Of like, oh, when I get anxious, I want to go online shopping. That's one of my triggers, right? Or if I get anxious, I want to eat. And then just having this mindfulness and this awareness allows us to shift out of it. So a couple of things I would practice for meditation. I use Insight Timer. It is free. And I also have a couple meditations on there if people want to look that up. There's great teachers on there. I know there's like Calm, Headspace, a couple of different guided practices as well. And just spending maybe 5 minutes, just centering yourself, practicing on some breathing. I've really liked going outside and doing it too, because again, I have the time. I'm not rushing off anywhere. So I've been practicing sitting on the ground, actually outside meditating, to bring that grounding energy in. And if people don't know what I'm talking about, grounding is presence, like presence. I'm here. I'm here. Because a lot of times we spend time in our head and we're in our head and we're not present, right? Have you ever like driven a car and you're like, I don't even remember driving? Well, you probably don't. You probably don't. You're probably very aware because I know you don't love driving.
I remember.
Yes, but sometimes you drive a car and you're like zoned out because you're thinking and you're not even paying attention to what you're doing because we're in our heads. So meditation allows us to sit and be in our bodies and be present with that.
Lisa has a comment. Yes, I like to pre-plan. Woo, Lisa. And yes, I have always dressed up to go to work. I've been working from home 6 years and find I am more productive if I dress for work.
Yeah. And shave your legs. I mean, that's something that I've been doing too. Like it's one of those little things, but like when you feel good, you're more likely, like if you're taking care of yourself, you're more likely to feel better. And I didn't always do that. I used to be like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to wear pajamas all day and not wash my hair. And I thought that was like freedom. And it is, because you can do that all day. I'm not saying one's right or wrong. I just noticed for me, when I get ready and take the time, I'm being very intentional about my day. And then I'm more likely to show up. I'm more likely to get things done. I'm more likely to come on videos like this because I'm prepared for the day.
Yeah, I don't always do my makeup, but now I'm trying to make an effort to always do my hair. Because normally I would just pull it up in a, well, now it's up in a bun, but earlier it was down, but it was too hot.
And that's perfect. So that's an example of what's called tiny habits, which is a strategy of doing small things instead of trying to do everything all at once, right? Just starting to build a small habit and notice if it makes you feel better. And if it does, continue it. If it doesn't, then try something else. Okay, so that was number one. I have 6 more things. Okay, so meditation was number one. The second one is affirmations. And you can do this, and I know I've practiced this with you as well, but you can do it in a way that's that just says, you know, and maybe it's your favorite scripture, maybe it's your favorite quote, maybe it's a poem, but something that can help shift you out of that anxious state, right? So you can say affirmations of, you know, I'm very grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for our health. I'm grateful for, you know, you can kind of do a gratitude list of affirmations, or you can just do an affirmation simply of, I'm going to get through this. I've gotten through other things. I'll get through this too. And you can kind of just practice that. And that leads into the next one, which is an incantation. An affirmation would be a longer statement, and you can just write down as many things as you want, or again, you can find these online on YouTube, anywhere. And an incantation is something short that you can repeat over and over again. So maybe somebody in this time is saying, you know what, I'm going to work on my fitness goals. So you might go on a walk every day and you can say, every day in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger. And that's just an affirmation for you, or that's an incantation for you as you're approaching your fitness goals. So those are the first 3. I also have 3 more, which I'll just go through really quickly. Self-hypnosis, which is very similar to meditation. But in this one, it's going to be something specific. So let's say right now there's a lot of fear over a certain situation, and you notice that this fear comes from something from your past. You can guide yourself through a self-hypnosis where and it's nice to have a practitioner do this as well, but you can guide yourself through it to revisit that spot and either reparent yourself if it was something that somebody said to you when you were a kid, like you can't have that or you're not good enough. You can do it in a way that you give yourself that affirmation that you needed, either in the past or if you got let go from a job, and you kind of heal that process. The next one is another healing one. It's called Ho'oponopono, and it is a Hawaiian prayer. And I'm going to type this in the chat because I know you guys probably don't know how to spell it. I have this on SoundCloud, I think, if you guys want to look this up. Ho'oponopono prayer. It's a Hawaiian prayer, which, you know. Okay. And so what it is so it was created, I don't remember when, but it was created, the spiritual guy created it for this prison in Hawaii. And it was said to have actually healed all the prisoners. Oh, wow. And they don't have the prison anymore because they all reformed, they all got good, and they were released, right? And it's very simple. It's just 4 phrases. and you could just listen to them over and over again. So again, you can Google this. I have one on YouTube if you want to look that up, or you can find it just by going on YouTube. It's 4 phrases, and it is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I thank you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I thank you. And you can do it in a meditation state. You can speak it out loud. You can listen to it. But I would recommend doing that one for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, because you're going to notice things will come up that need forgiven. Things will come up that you need to forgive yourself for. Because a lot of times we have this anxious energy because we either have regrets or we're holding unforgiveness for something that happened to us, right? And it may just be, I'm just angry. I don't know who I'm angry at, but just forgiving the situation. And that's going to help us heal and work through the process.
It's funny that you should say that, because that actually came up in a Zoom call that I had earlier. It's working with Nikki Koziarks, who wrote 5 Habits of a Woman Who Doesn't Quit. And she is basically going through her book, 5 Steps. And it's a program that I joined. We're on our 3rd week, but one of the things for next week is, it's like a bingo card, and it says, be the first one to say, I'm sorry. And I had brought up a situation of growing up. So now I'm going to have to put that practice in place.
To own that. Yes.
Yeah, it's God telling me I need to do it. So
yes. And I also want to point out too, so we don't need the other person there to heal it. So sometimes maybe somebody has passed on, maybe somebody has moved, maybe you're just not in contact with them anymore, and it wouldn't even be appropriate to like have that conversation. So I want to release people too. If there's healing that needs to be done, we are the ones that have the ability to heal and forgive. We don't actually need that other person to partake in it at all. So I do want to allow that to be a strategy. Now, I don't want to give people a way out too if they know that they're like in a relationship with their husband, like where they need to say, I'm sorry, you still need to say you're sorry. But in those situations, you can do a lot of this forgiveness just through this practice.
Allison says, yes, forgiveness of self and others is the most important step toward healing. And it is really.
Yes. And we don't want to hear it. I mean, when I went to Bali to really work on my life coaching business. And I wanted the tools. I wanted them to tell me how to market it and do it. And the first thing we did was an intimacy exercise. And then we worked on forgiveness. And I was like, wait, I didn't come here for this. But everything touches everything in our life. So if we're looking for a result, it comes back to that internal work. And it comes back to self-love, self-forgiveness, self-compassion, and not holding this energy, right? Because that's creative energy that we're using to hold a grudge or to just be angry about the situation, where we can allow that creative energy to flow and garden or paint or enjoy time with our kids without being distracted. Whatever that is, releasing that energy is going to allow us to be present.
Yeah, there was a book that I read a while back called You Are Loved. I think it's by Wendy Blight, and it did the thing about forgiveness. It talked about it being an octopus around our heart. You know, that octopus has all the tentacles, and it's like it keeps tightening, and it's not helping. You know, you don't have to really go out and say forgive to the person, but allow yourself to forgive. Yeah. And it actually made me take the action of writing 2 letters to friends who had, I felt like we both had done things to each other, and I heard back from one of them, and one of them I've never heard back from since. So, but the actual visual of having an octopus has made me go out, and actually, because I'm a very visual person, so I bought an octopus to sit when I do my journaling, when I do my Bible, so that I know that I have to get that forgiveness. I have to get it out of my heart, because it was only making me bitter.
That is so good. And I love that you took a physical action too of writing the letter, because that's for you, like you said, like the one you never heard back from, but you've now released it because you've taken that action to do. I also recommend for people to write a letter to themselves in forgiving themselves. And this can be like a daily, monthly, weekly practice, because we're never going to be perfect. We're always going to let ourselves down. So practicing self-compassion and just writing, a love letter to yourself. And then if you want to take it one step further, read that letter out loud to yourself in the mirror. I've done that, and it was very powerful, because we don't speak very kindly to ourselves usually. Usually we have that internal critic that is just repeating negative thoughts to us all the time, all the time. So
We
I
are our own
recommend that.
worst critics too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lisa says, I love that, Melissa. And Allison said that was so powerful. And believe me, it was powerful for me when I was actually reading it. And I'm like, okay, because it was a Bible study with Proverbs 31 Ministry. They have some amazing online Bible studies. And I actually took the action and wrote it down in the small group that, hey, I did this. And they're like, yay, we're so proud of you. And I'm like, and I even mailed them. And I knew one of them immediately came back, and the other one, which I kind of figured wasn't going to come back.
Yeah.
But at least I released that.
Yes, it's allowing things to be released too, because right now in this time, a lot of things are being taken, right? Mm-hmm. And we can look at it like it's being taken, but it's also maybe it's time to go. Maybe it's time to be released. And I don't want to speak lightly of if you've lost a loved one, right? A loved one has passed on. So I don't mean in that way, but if there's something physical, if it's a job, if it's circumstances that we can't go to, events that we can't go to, but it's creating space for something else to potentially grow and flourish.
That is so true. Now let's talk about a little bit about what you have coming up.
Yes. So we are launching tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a vision board workshop, which I'm so excited for because I have learned in this time how to do it virtually. So we used to do them here locally in Fayetteville, and we would cut up magazines, which is awesome. And I highly recommend if you have magazines at home to do it. But I also like the ability to create using Canva a vision board. And I walk you through the entire process. And then we have it. I have a template for you so it can go on your screensaver, on your phone, just creating that vision for the future, something to look forward to. Because, and I got this mindset from, I listened to an interview from a woman named Rose Schindler. She was a survivor of the Holocaust. And somebody had asked her, how did you get through that? That was horrible, horrific. You can't even imagine. And she just said, we just took it one day at a time, and we had to have hope for a better future. If we didn't have hope for a better future, then that would have been giving up and we wouldn't have survived. So that was really powerful for me to think about. The circumstances right now may not look like something can come from it. It may feel hard, it may feel challenging, but everything was created from nothing. Like God created the world from nothing. We create things every day from nothing, right? When we start to think a thought, that's the first idea of, oh, I want to write a book. And there it is. And now it's a thing, right? So if we can start to focus on that future, we have the ability to create from a circumstance that maybe doesn't align with our vision. But if we don't have a vision, then we don't have a direction for where we're going. And we're not going to make any use of this time, this extra time, essentially, that we have right now.
I know one thing, I'm a big proponent of vision boards. I've never done one, but last year it was my first one I ever did. And I actually made it a creative, you know me, I'm creative. That's my energy. But I had a friend come over and we just did a vision board for ourselves. We put it in an old frame, and it was just, and it hung up to where I can see it. And it gave me so much direction last year. And so at the beginning of the year, this year, I made another one, I even put my word of the year, which is abundance, on it. So I'm a real big proponent of doing vision boards.
Yes,
because it gives you a clear.
I am too. And I'm a proponent of doing them even more often than just once a year. Most people will do them beginning of the year, right? Because that makes sense. But quarterly, 6 months, in the middle of the summer, at the end of the year, because I like to think of the year in like 90 days, 90 days, 90 days, right? Because it's just a series of 90 days. And especially right now, those visions, I was supposed to be leading an in-person retreat last weekend. That is not on my vision board because we couldn't meet in person. However, what was birthed out of that was this Create, Believe, Conquer 6-week program that I've now taken online that's going to be more immersive. So instead of just getting 3 days where we deep dive, we're going to have total 6 weeks. So that's something that I might have drug my feet on, right? That's something I might not have put into action had this not happened. So that's just another example of things being birthed in creative season of this time as well. So we're going to kick off the Create, Believe, Conquer 6-week full immersion program, tomorrow with the vision board workshop, and then we kick it off next week with a deep dive. So essentially what it is, it's a framework that I've been working on for probably 7 years now. So since I've been coaching, I've had this idea of create, believe, conquer, this 3-step system to achieve your goals. And I always aligned it with health and fitness, right? Like, because people wanted to kind of achieve things in health and fitness. But there's this spiritual component. There's this energetic component. It's not just about doing, because all the information is out there. You know, all the strategies are out there, but it's about getting really clear on a vision, like creating your vision and values, diving into your belief. We spend a lot of time on belief, because the reason we don't do things is usually because we don't believe we can, and we limit ourselves. So we're spending so much time on belief and building our belief. And then that last piece is the conquer, believing that we're more than conquerors, believing that no matter what, we cannot fail. Even if we fail over and over and over again, we know there's something on the other end. There's something on the other end. So we're going to keep going. So I'm really excited about this program. I'm excited about you being in it and the other women that are in it as well. And just the results that we got in the 5-day challenge was huge, right? You're already on here doing Facebook Lives just from the free challenge. So I can't wait to see how this is going to shift and grow you too in the coming 6 weeks. But then that translates into a year, 3 years, right? So what we do now is so important for our vision of the future and where we're going to be.
Yeah, because I will say that I'm a huge proponent of your Create, Believe, Conquer. When I did the webinar first, and then you did the 5-day challenge, and I never even would see myself getting up here and interviewing people. But you put it out there. You're like, I challenge you to go Facebook Live. You didn't even say to interview anybody. You just said go Facebook Live. And I just kind of said, okay, it's easier for me to go Facebook Live if I'm chatting with someone, because I'm a little bit more relaxed. So I chose, when we were talking about values, I chose to one of my best friends, Lucy, come on with me. And we talked about the value of friendship. And it just, once that started, boom, 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 it just kind of all fell into place.
Yes. And so that started from you getting clear on your vision, right? I don't know that you had shared that you wanted to be a speaker, right? You once you shared that, you put it out there, you got very clear. And then we go, okay, well, if that is your vision, let's back it up. What are the things that we need to do to get you to being a speaker, right? So we broke it down into very simple to where now you're building your belief, right? Because you're on here every single week. You started off with somebody comfortable, which is that's the best way to do things. Because what we do when we're starting to build our belief and put ourselves out there, we want to do it in a way that's outside of our comfort zone, but that also is supportive and does have a safety net, right? So that we don't completely fall flat on our face, right? So doing that with a friend, I think, was genius, because it gave you that confidence of, oh, this is easy. I can do this. I can chat with friends. And then it just builds this snowball effect over time to where I know you're going to have one of the Real Housewives on here, probably, like you did on your blog.
Yeah, hopefully. Nice. I already done on my blog, so
right.
We comment. Lisa says, I created mine and it's hanging on my bulletin board. I'm excited to see how to do them through Canva. I'm Canva is one of my things that I'm like challenged on. So,
well, I give you like a little mini tutorial in there, so you'll be good. And you get the recording as well. So if you want to go back and use it again later, because usually the way I do the vision board workshops is it's 2 hours, right? So I'll like coach you for a good hour on how to do it, on how to set it up. Then we'll do a meditation. And the reason I do meditation is because a lot of times people think they know what they want, but they don't, right? And they're like, I want the house, I want the car, I want this job. Whenever what they really want is the feeling that they think those things are going to bring to them. So what we want to do is actually just cultivate. How can we cultivate more of that feeling in our everyday life? And when you look at that vision board, does it make you feel good? Or does it make you go, oh, I could never afford that car? Because if it does, that's not going to be a vision board that's going to work for you, because every time you look at it, it involves negative feelings. So we really tap into ensuring that you're connected to your vision board. And then if you want to spend, once I give you the formula and the format, if you want to spend several more hours doing it, you can create one for your business. You can create one for your family. You can create one for your fitness and put them in different areas of the house, putting your fitness one on the fridge,
Mhm.
maybe putting your business one in the office, putting a screensaver on your phone like I have and on my computer, so that you're constantly reaffirming your belief in yourself that you can create this in your life.
Yeah, I will say there was a couple of things that I haven't shared. I've shared like in that group I was telling you about with Nikki Cozy Arcs that we're
Mm-hmm.
doing my one thing. I shared one thing and I shared with you the other. So
Mm-hmm.
basically it's kind of all goes together, but I see myself mentoring, writing a book and speaking. I see that all going together.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually can vision myself. I wrote, let's see, I got to look at my board because I have a board now. 20, where is it? Oh, where is it? 2021 speaking on a national stage. Because
Yes.
in the Nikki thing, she had
Mm-hmm.
us do our start and our finish line and where we wanted to be.
Yep.
And so I have writing my first, going first national stage is 2020. But by 2021, by June 2020, I'm booking my first speaking engagement.
That's
So
amazing.
I've got more specific with that.
Yes. And putting it and writing things out also makes it true, right? It gets it out of your brain onto paper, onto you visualizing it, which is the whole point. When you visualize it, it activates your brain. You start to see it.
Mm-hmm.
We are so visual that when we imagine something, it becomes real to us. So by spending time envisioning that, it's going to support you being there. And obviously, we have to take actions along the way. But if
Mm-hmm.
every morning you're waking up thinking about being a speaker, you're naturally going to start taking aligned actions that align with that vision for you.
I know last week I did 2 lives. This week it's 3 lives.
Yes. See? Geez, are we going to start going every day now?
Now I said probably next week I'll probably go once
Yeah.
because give myself a little downtime. But I already have ideas to people that I can have come on to speak. And like I have a lady that deals with childcare,
Mm-hmm.
and she's with a partnership for children here in Wayne County. And I've contacted her about coming to speak about, because childcare workers are essential workers, but they're
Right.
not getting the recognition like they should get. It's
Right.
everybody's, and I'm not trying to downplay the doctors and nurses and
Mm-hmm.
the firemen and policemen that are out there doing the work, because absolutely not. They are doing
Right.
great work, but they need to remember all the essential workers that are out there
Yes.
putting their lives on the line, because
Yeah.
someone has to take care of the kids that of these nurses, these policemen, these doctors, these
Yes.
everything. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so amazing what you're doing, and giving people a voice, and giving people hope, and giving them resources and tools. It's going to be a huge ripple effect for not only now, but even later,
Mhm.
for people to come back to and look at and use for strategies. So I think it's great what you're doing.
Is there anything else that you want to share with us, or?
I want to let them know that I have something free for them too. I created worksheets from my Create. So the first week, we're actually creating a vision and values. I created free worksheets for them. So if they want to reach out to me, they can just hit me up on Instagram, send me a message, and I will shoot that information over so they can get those worksheets. And at least they can start to kind of create that vision for the future. Could definitely join the vision board workshop tomorrow. Let me see if I can put the Eventbrite link in here. And then for the Create, Believe, Conquer 6-week, I would love to have you involved. This is going to be for high achievers, women who know that they want to create something. They know that they want to move forward, and they need the support of a structure. They need support of a mindset coach, the accountability, and the community. So that is still available as well. If they just want to reach out to me individually, we can have a chat about that, and I can send them information about that.
Okay, I told everybody I would post your Instagram after the video.
Okay, perfect. It's at Camy Kennedy. It's pretty simple. But yeah, I'm so grateful for being able to be on here.
Allison says, I love the emphasis of visualization of your goals. Camy, I'm going to borrow this quote.
Absolutely. Borrow it away. What I say is the things I'm saying are not new ideas. I mean, I was just listening to Bob Proctor today, who I believe is in his 80s. And he's probably been doing personal development the longest. So, we all are teaching the same strategies. We're all just teaching it in our own way, is what I say.
That is so cool. And I do want to say that I actually met you before I started doing the challenge, I met you at the WBC Faye Monday Motivations, and I actually won a prize there because I shared with the group that I had my anxiety of driving long distances, and I drove by myself and got there. So, see, she was already working on me then. And that was what, back in January?
Yes. And that was already you stepping out of your comfort zone to get to where you are now, right? That was already, you're already on the path, and you see how you did that comfort zone. Then it's like, well, what's the next thing? Oh, live videos. And what's the next thing? Oh, okay, speaking. Oh, what's the next thing? So that's how it works. I call it a positive snowball effect. You start expanding that comfort zone.
And I want to real quick put a plug in for WBC Faye because they are awesome. And they're going a Monday motivation on Monday, this Monday. If you go to their Facebook page, it's actually a free online this week. And Allison is actually going to be speaking. She's the one that's been commenting. She's going to be speaking. And I actually just did a podcast interview with her on Tuesday.
Awesome.
She interviewed me for her podcast. So see, I'm already out there.
It's like the circle of life. I'm so excited to see Allison too. I saw her little picture up in the WBC Faye on their Instagram. So I'm excited for that. That event is so good. And I think, coming together online, we need to stay connected. That's one of the big takeaways is like, we have to be very intentional about staying connected because it's very easy to lose those connections. So getting on live videos, talking to people, reaching out is so important. And I notice it's an energy boost for me too. Like I'll book calls, like just catching up with people, and just like, oh, that was fine. Like I haven't talked to them in years. So I would highly recommend doing that.
Yeah, Allison said, yes, I'm going to borrow your quote for my event.
Absolutely. Go for it. Go for it. See, I love it because they need to hear it several times. Hear it from me, hear it from you, hear it again. Like we need that repetition until it becomes something that we take in and we start to believe that's true for ourselves.
So WBC is so wonderful. We are so fortunate to have this amazing community. And I actually drive from Goldsboro, which is like an hour and 20 minutes just to attend the event because I just love the people that run it and I get so much motivation coming out of there.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's amazing. And I love that they're still keeping up with everything for us in the virtual space.
Yes, for sure. Is there any last minute things you want to share?
I think I gave them a lot today. So hopefully they can watch the replay, pick one of those things. And I don't want to overwhelm anyone. I just want to give them several different resources of just making sure that they're being mindful of their mindset, their self-care each and every day, and doing something for themselves each day.
All right. Thank you, Camy.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.